Here we go. Oh, what a day. Radical Jack here. Day 19. Just got back, so I'm going to be moving around a little bit. Fire's kind of going. So yeah, what an interesting day. I was out chasing a caravan on behalf of a friend, building a camper van, and very interesting, in relation to I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, where I was kind of talking about honesty, and it came up quite a lot, in relation to I don't know, I was all reminiscing about all sorts of things, sometimes just the simplicity of giving someone a compliment about their hair, where you kind of figured maybe they just had it done or something, and we all know these kinds of little things, no matter how small they often give us a nice lift, So yeah, and I've often said, nice dress, or there's been times where really I'm talking about her bum maybe, but yeah, you don't say that kind of things. You go, nice dress, but it was a nice dress too, but you get my point. It's so easy to what is dishonesty? Is it dishonest for me to say something like in a way that might upset somebody? Is that dishonesty? I suppose, yeah. I've spent a lot of time on the street, being an agony uncle, and a psychiatrist some days, social worker next. Often felt like a tourist board when I was in Glastonbury, Sometimes the local police, depending on what trouble came, So very interesting high street, Glastonbury. So many stories. I hope to tell you some of those stories as we go, but. Often it's interesting, when you're at work in that way, I may just be making jewelry and burning incense and just, being present, where I discovered, along the path, that presence is everything sometimes, and, I used to get lovely compliments at times, people say, I hadn't been around for a while, people would say, you were missed, and your presence was missed, and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, I'd often say things like, that maybe one person walking by, it might be an alpha male, which there are quite a lot around Glastonbury, who prey on the young ones that come in, Of course, I might be there sitting making a necklace for some young one with absolutely no intentions on my part, other than what I was doing. But, the perception of somebody would be... of one of those alpha males would often be what would end up being this kind of projections, that one have to deal with, But anyway, this is all part of a majorly big learning curve. But other people would walk by and I'd say something, and oh, you're some charmer, or comments like that, in relation to what I might have said, And it is interesting how people will build a perception of you, good or bad, in relation to this. Sometimes, maybe some of those alpha males, they never really walked by or noticed when I was having fun with the older ladies, what I mean? I'm talking about elderly ladies, I was the same charming person to them all, so to speak. So, but often, yeah, it was a thing that I did, and I felt quite genuine and natural to do it. But to give someone a compliment, and regardless to what they were wearing or whatever, but just more the intuitive feeling of them just needing a lift. And wow, I often got some serious feedback around that, or it might have been somebody walking by, oh, that's a lovely smell, and frankincense coming up, or copal wafting up the air, and they're like, oh, well, where can I get some of that? Oh, you can get it here. I've got some bags for sale. Oh, I've no money. I said, oh, there's a bag, Give them a bag, and they're like, wow, just like, what you trust me to? I said, yeah, just give me the money when you got it, So, but yeah, but I might not come back to this town. okay, no worries, you know, give to somebody else one day, you know. It all comes back to us, you know, in different ways. And so, you know, we're kind of like doing many things at once, you know, in this because I learned a lot in relation to living in different ways, and by donation sometimes, and not putting in charge on things, and watching this whole process, you know. So I worked on many levels and understanding that, you know, when you give, you know, things come back to you, you know. And it's really interesting to see that, you know, when somebody is quite taken aback by, like, that, you know, you can treat them in a way that they're you know, their own trust and honest self is you know, available to shine, you know, at some given point. Or they can take advantage in their own mind, in whatever level they're at, you know, in relation to how they might respond to that. But often, you know, when you give that kind of trust to people, they are honest, you know. So often, what are we dealing with, like when we are in those situations, is you know, the projection. You know, if we already project an outcome in this situation, then often the person on the other end will you know, may likely just you know, play that part for you, you know. And this is very interesting how energy works when we're all in these kinds of strange kind of dance and dramas between each other, you know. But yeah, is it wrong? Is it wrong to you know, say something, you know, to somebody, like, even if they don't look that great, and go, God, you look really good today, you look really great, you know, whatever, you know, just to give them a lift. Because I've had lots of feedback around that, you know, where I might have given something, or I might have just given a compliment. It might have been an item of some kind, you know, where and you know, for somebody to come back another day and say, you know, that woman that you gave that thing to the other day, you actually really changed her life. You know, just that one act. How could you change someone's life? It's like she was so depressed and feeling really suicidal, and, you know, it just gave her such a lift. You know, that, you know, she was just so taken by it, you know, and it just changed her whole view on that there was, you know, there was hope for her, you know, and stuff like that. So you never know what you're doing, you know. But the kind of honesty that I was dealing with today is it's interesting, you know. It's like to be back here in Ireland, you know, and to get this across correctly, not to get me wrong or anything like that. But it just seemed to me that every caravan that I landed at, you know, it was like, you know, they want to sell me something that where things are not working, you know, and I say, oh Jesus, yeah, everything's grand, yeah, it's all, oh yeah, it's all working, you know, to get behind the story eventually, where it's like they might have the thing working for a year or two, you know, and it's blatantly the gas is not working, you know, the hot water's not heating. It's like, wow, if you want to sell me this item, you know, I want to see these things working, you know. And it's like, and then I go to somebody else, and it's like she's never even seen the stuff working in her caravan. And then I find out the guy that gave it to her, he's never seen the things working, and he bought it off someone and says, oh yeah, everything's working. It's like, I need a demonstration. Like, you've just brought me all the way down here for nothing, you know. And to continue, you know, in another, like, eventually I saw one on the way home. I was like, oh my God, man, you know, this guy's gone, oh, this is really clean. And I'm like, it was disgusting, you know. It's kind of caravan like that I'd be embarrassed to give away to somebody, and he's looking for €1,500. So, you know, there's you know, there was when I finally got around to somebody who might, you know, it actually happened to be a dealer, and you know, we got talking about this indirectly, and he started talking about, like, oh, well, I bring all my caravans in from England because, you know, 99% of the caravans you get off Irish people say, oh yeah, they're all great, oh yeah, everything's working, He said, they're not. You know, so okay, that's a bit of a generalization, you know, and it might not be actual. There's going to be good people out there too, right? But he said, generally speaking, you know, and he was putting it honest on you know, by bringing them in from England, he was guaranteed, right, that they were all pretty tip top. So you see a difference there as well, where there's a slight kind of blinkers there, you know, around what again is dishonesty or honesty, you know, where, you know, it's like you're willing to sell something to somebody, you know. I mean, I would find that very difficult, you know. I've worked through that kind of karma in relation to vehicles. I feel like I've got good vehicle karma, you know. Where you know, I can't sell something just if I know something's wrong, you know. And the amount of vehicles that I bought You know, when somebody tells me it's fine and it wasn't, you know, it ended up costing me an arm and a leg, and it's like, you know, you just think, oh no, you know. So, but like all that comes back in some way. I always find in the long run, like all these things come back. So when you're being dishonest like that, and you're not telling people the whole story, really, you know, you're being dishonest to yourself, and that is what like attracts like, and what karma is, or what goes around comes around, you know. And it's really interesting anyway, you know, to come up against these kind of these things, you know. You know, if it's in a relationship or whatever, you know, it's a big thing, you know. So anyway, I had loads more story in and around that, you know. Just today, having a whole day of it, like, and yeah, getting to a point where I just thought, wow, you know, it's such a big thing for us, isn't it? You know, just to be completely honest. It's hard sometimes, isn't it? You know, just because sometimes we don't even see ourselves doing it or being in that, you know. But I think it's a big key to you know, success in those things that matter, you know. So. But yeah, I had many things I wanted to say earlier, and they're not coming to my mind right now. You know, it's been a busy day, and yeah, perhaps I'd like to just share this little poem with you. You know, because it's just come to my mind. You know, and yeah, 11:11. This was inspired by Facebook, actually. I hope I've got enough time to do it. Empty as can be, this face of mine has lost its identity, a place of no mind, blessed mystery. She takes a stand, inspired I am to match such blessed synchronicity, makes no demand, full disgrace, a time where found no forgiveness. But now, serenity here, body and soul and gut, they form an alliance, thinking their own thoughts, deciding thrice and for all to deviate from what's on. And whose feckin' mind is this anyway? Compliance to who and what Dr. Mang is sought to the did I say? All mighty beyond this book that is forever read and ever shed. This is not what is not on my mind. Love, the mystery. There is this place where all things flow, a magical trace where all things know, invisible now as if yet to come, and yet confident and yet not to some. Therefore it seems an array of types. In seasons and cycles were set all things ripe. How blessed are we in these fair lands to breathe and play and seed. Great bands passed on before us, tremendous bodies of soul, their experience raised up in books of lore. How careful am I for thy indifference of sight. They give me words of poetry and choice of light. Heavy to say, perhaps there is no absolute. Perhaps there is that one cannot say, for that is thy truth. That there is but one and but many paths. For where is mystery and all experiencing wrath? When will we stop and know ourselves high? Bliss. When will we start to have known ourselves low? This honesty we truly must remember. Maybe we are neither one nor the other. Maybe one has no lover. Maybe high is low is high. Maybe body is soul is body. Maybe polarity does not exist. Maybe a kiss is just a kiss. This may well matter or may not be a fact, but while you tear me asunder, I will know, nay, never attack. You see, I've worked something out that is neither right nor wrong, and from my hardship and struggle comes beauty and song. And the earth, he is spinning, while the sun, she seems still. And that there great mystery may be all in all one, can never fill. Love, the mystery.